Monday Night Raw has been absolutely pissing terrible for so long now. I honestly can't remember the last time I presented one of these videos and told you that Monday Night Raw was very good indeed. But I reckon after last night's show, it's confirmation in my mind. The only way to save Monday Night Raw is to scrap the Raw roster altogether, the creative team, everybody associated with Monday Night Raw, and simply air a full replay of Friday Night SmackDown, followed up by a replay of the Talking Smack that took place after last week's Friday Night SmackDown. It's beyond repair. I cannot believe the same company, WWE, they put on SmackDown, they put on NXT, but then they're also capable of putting on Monday Night Raw. It beggars belief. How can Monday Night Raw be so bad? And this Monday Night Raw in particular, I love my silly bollocks in professional wrestling. We know this much at this stage, but even some of the stuff that happened last night, it was even too silly for this silly prick right here. I couldn't believe some of the stuff I was seeing. We saw a contender for the worst segment of the year of 2021. Close that award category down right now. It's over. It happened on last night's Raw, and that's before we've even considered anything to do with Riddle. What a load of bollocks he did last night as well. I tell you what, to look on the bright side of things, the Hurt Business, that's interesting, I guess. And not even some truly amazing scenes from Ricochet and AJ Styles could save an utter train wreck of an episode of Monday Night Raw. But I am Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic Wrestling. Hello to you, how you doing? Last night's Raw, it made me consider what I do for a living. I almost quit Cultaholic as a result of last night's Raw. But hey ho, let's take a look at all the WTF moments from whatever the piss and hell that was on the television last night. Hit the intro man. So we kicked off the show with none other than Randall Keith. And I don't know about you at home, but after being shot in the face with an actual ball of fire, I was expecting Randy Orton to have a bit of time off work to, recover in that. So him being there, that's a WTF moment. And then he went and revealed his head, and I was thinking, shut it down. Randy Orton has joined Retribution with an even worse mask than Slapjacks. But then gimmick infringement Kane, he gave me a tramp stamp right at the bottom of my back with the sole of his boot when he said, Ross, what about that? And what about that? And I was thinking, gimmick infringement Kane, yeah, probably just about right, Bonnie lad. Aren't you beautiful? Now let me tell you, Randy Orton's promo delivered absolutely fantastically well. But I'm making the very premise of that wonderful promo a huge WTF moment. There he was on last night's Raw, Randy Orton moaning about the fact that he was burned in the face last week on Monday Night Raw, and as a result of those burns to the face from the fireball of Alexa Bliss, he suffered first-degree burns. Oh, woe is me, I'm so much in pain. I'm Randy Orton. The same Randy Orton who set another human being on fire, by the way, and murdered them. Murdered them right in the middle of the professional wrestling ring. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, his mind, his body and soul burned to a crisp and murdered by Randy Orton. But oh, woe is me, I had done to me what I did to somebody else, but a little bit less worse than what I did to somebody else. But where? All you need, Randy Orton, is to stay out of direct sunlight and put a little bit of after sun on, man. You'll be completely fine in a couple of weeks' time. Little bit of dab here, little bit of dab there. Stay at home, you'll be fine. The Fiend, on the other hand, he is dead. I know he's not dead, but he should be dead because he got burned alive. And sit yourselves down, everybody. I'm going to say something very strong here indeed. Randy Orton, after that promo that opened last night's Raw, I have come to the conclusion that you are a snowflake. I've got arsehole boomer energy now, that's what I've come to. That's what Raw has turned me into, an arsehole boomer. And then Randall Keith said that, hey, all you WWE superstars, you could chop off all of my limbs, but that wouldn't stop me winning the Royal Rumble match. And I was thinking, are you sure, Randy? Are you sure? I can't have been the only person picturing inside my head the scenario where a limbless Randall Keith Orton was in the ring with the other man in the final two of the Royal Rumble match and wondering to myself, how the hell would a limbless Randy Orton throw the other guy over the top rope? I don't know what you might be thinking, but no, Randall Keith is aligned with nobody. He's got no legacy, he's got no Wyatt family, he's got no evolution, nothing like that. He's on his own. How on earth would he do it. Randy Orton, I reckon you're talking nonsense, you silly snake. And then we had Tom Phillips telling us, because Charlotte Flair had told him, or something like that Charlotte Flair and her daddy, not her daddy like that, Ross, you silly man, her biological father, Ric Flair, they are still on good terms, because even though Ric Flair has been a bastard, a no good cheating bastard, with Lacey Evans, Charlotte's fine with that, because Charlotte has understood that's what Ric Flair has been all about since the beginning. But then your mind thinks back to a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, where Charlotte Flair cock-blocked her own father. Don't you say she didn't. That's exactly what she did. And because he was cock-blocked, Ric Flair, he got a bit annoyed. And then because Ric Flair got annoyed by getting cock-blocked, Charlotte Flair got annoyed back in his direction. And that led me to believe that Charlotte doesn't understand how the dirtiest player in the game, the control man of Space Mountain, he shags all the women, he does, Ric Flair. It led me to believe, Charlotte Flair, you might not understand what your dad is all about. Oh, this storyline. Riddle is painful to watch on Monday Night Raw. For a little while there, the powers that be who run Monday Night Raw, they had, Riddle in the sweet spot, in my opinion. The sweet spot between off-his-face weed man, who is always high in a universe where weed doesn't exist, and feckin' idiot. But now he is just a feckin' idiot. But on this week's Raw, Riddle, I don't know what happened to my voice there, but he was speaking to Bobby Lashley and he was saying, Bobby, I don't understand why people would call you Slobby Bobby. Bobby, it just makes you want to punch yourself right in the groin, doesn't it, everybody? In response to that, Bobby Lashley says, whoa, Riddle on flip-flops, great, ba-boom, and he stomps about an inch away from Riddle's right foot, right? And the sheer reverberations from such a hefty stomp on the floor, I'm sorry neighbours down below, there was an earthquake, and the sheer, I don't know, the devastation of Bobby Lashley doing that on the floor, it caused Riddle to really hurt his ankle, as if Bobby Lashley actually stamped on his foot like they had planned to do. Damn you, cameraman who filmed that segment there. And then I guess since we live in a world where, Riddle, he takes everything literally. Last week on Monday Night Raw, of course, he was confused, he was perplexed, he was baffled by the saying, you better watch your back. How do you do that, man? Do you look under your arm? Do you look under your eggs? Shut up, man, Riddle. I guess we then have to make him saying on last night's Raw, hey, Bobby Lashley, you're gonna see this foot later, man. Shoved right up your ass. It's a huge WTF moment, isn't it? Because, of course, if your foot's up somebody else's ass, how the hell are you gonna see it, man? Are you gonna put a telescope up the ass so you can attach your eye to the telescope and see up somebody else's ass? Are you gonna put one of those camera things the doctors have down their throats, down their intestines, and through their rectum, into their ass so you can see your foot via camera? I've got no idea what Riddle is these days, man. And then, if things couldn't get any worse, look at the foot Riddle is resting there compared to the foot that Bobby Lashley stomped kind of close to. Or is this version of Riddle supposed to be that much of a feckin' idiot, as Father Ted and pals would say all the way back in the 1990s, that he gets one foot hurt, but he's so stupid to recognise that he sells the injury on the other foot? Is that where we're... Do you know? And by the way, if you do reside inside the WWE Thunderdome, could you let me know what they do when commercial breaks happen on Monday Night Raw? Because last week it looked like the old silly rule of no wrestling during commercial breaks. It looked like Vince McMahon had brought it back last week, but this week's show was proper confirmation. So I want to know, if you're watching Monday Night Raw inside the Thunderdome, what happens when you go to commercial breaks? I'm interested, please and thank you. So, Asuka, you're about to go in Alexa's Playground. What do you expect? I don't know, pal. Random replay of Fireball happens. Alexa, dark side? Ta-da! What the hell was that, Kevin? Dun 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 dun. And I didn't expect to see Harold Shipman on this week's Raw. And to be honest with everybody, with that WrestleMania promo package right there being aired over the weekend initially, I was thinking, wow, they're playing it on Monday Night Raw. I can sit back, I can relax, I can close my eyes, I can forget about the bollocks I'm seeing on Monday Night Raw. But then But then Kevin,
dun 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 dun,
he decided to cut to Alexa Bliss's entrance just as Lady Balls herself said, "Hey John Cena, with your funny punny name, we are live," in the midst of this promo that clearly wasn't live. Of all the times to do that, Kevin, you decide to do it there, you silly, silly man. Oh, he's here! Gimmick infringement, Kane, will you please sit down? Little Jimmy can be friends with whoever Little Jimmy wants. Can't he, everybody? Or maybe, just maybe, Alexa Bliss was speaking to an invisible Fiend because, as you know, the Fiend died because he was burned alive by Randy Orton and his, in turn, first-degree burns. Oh, poor me, I'm Randy Orton. Put some After Sun on and shut up. And then we get to the end of whatever that was right there, and we're all saying it, aren't we? Worst segment ever. That's the segment right there we're speaking about, the start of this video. Close down the award for the worst segment of the year already. It's 2021 and it's that playground thing right there. Let's never speak about it again. Let us never speak about it again as my mouth decides to work this take. Triple Mania! Slap nuts! Knowing what we know about WWE, I am making the backdrop to that shot there a huge WTF moment. How on earth did Double J get that past everybody and get that shot into last night's Raw? If you know, let me know. And then we hear from noble babyface and definite not barefaced liar Charlotte Flair, who lets us know that she's been learning from the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair, for all of her life, but she's never gone down that path. No, she's never been a bastard. She's always been squeaky clean and done things the right way her whole career. And on a completely unrelated note, I've never even seen a pizza or a donut. In fact, I don't even know what they are. I don't sit there after watching episodes of Raw like this and drown my sorrows in all of the carbs. Charlotte, you liar. What you doing, man? Watching this Ric Flair, Lacey Evans thing. Ric Flair, Lacey Evans, they are the heels, aren't they? Aren't they? Charlotte Flair getting shafted by her own father. She's the babyface, but then she tells massive lies like that. What's going on? So then we see these two talking right here, and Adam Pearce says to Trevor Ricochet, "Hey Trevor, how you doing, pal? A massive win against AJ Styles. That will go a long way to securing your place in the Royal Rumble match of 2021. All the while, of course, we live in a world where numerous WWE superstars, both in the men's and the women's Rumble matches, have said, "I declare myself a part of the Rumble match." And that's enough to get them in. How come some people in WWE can live their life like they are Michael Scott off of The Office? "I declare bankruptcy." That worked in his head. You know what I'm trying to say here? Please say you do. I am losing the will to live. But then again, we have the likes of Ricochet on last night's Raw, Drew Gulak on last week's Raw, who have to have matches to qualify for the Rumble match. It's just not fair. And it's especially heartbreaking for Ricochet, especially when you remember that he loves a mass gathering in the midst of the global pandemic. So seeing him in the Rumble, he'd be right at home, wouldn't he? Stop doing it, Trevor, you numpty. And then we hear from AJ Styles, who has a go at Adam Pearce for running away from the Universal title. And then he has a go at Ricochet, saying to Ricochet, "Hey Ricochet, you're gonna lose to me tonight." The little things. And in response, Ricochet starts rambling about how AJ Styles has selective amnesia, and then starts rambling on about utter nonsense, including 51st dates and TLC 2020. A match that Ricochet, of course, had nothing to do with whatsoever. But that's not the reason I'm making this a WTF moment. I'm making this a WTF moment because Trevor Ricochet, he had a go at AJ Styles for selective amnesia. AJ Styles had a go at Ricochet because AJ Styles reckons that Ricochet was going to lose this match to the phenomenal AJ Styles. All that stuff. But not once did Trevor Ricochet think to mention Raw episode 1362, where he defeated AJ Styles in roughly 6 minutes. Why was that not brought up? Oh, that's right, Ricochet. You've got selective amnesia. Whatever that is.
Yep, I wrong. Yep, I wrong.
And then we have a direct quote from Byron Saxton, who says that opportunity is all you can ask for if you're Ricochet. And I'm saying bollocks, Byron Saxton. All Ricochet can ask for is to be treated the same as every other WWE superstar who did I declare myself in the Royal Rumble match. Therefore, I don't have to earn my way into the Royal Rumble match. Drew and Ricochet, why couldn't they do that? But hey ho, in the midst of this utter show that was Monday Night Raw last night. We have one highlight. If you haven't seen already, please go out your way, go on YouTube, go and watch it. The finish to that AJ Styles versus Ricochet match. It is absolutely stupendous. Liquid wrestling from the very top draw. Allen literally bounces Ricochet off the top rope straight into a Styles clash. Unbelievable scenes. Not all WTF moments have to be negative. Although it is hard not to make them negative when you're watching Monday Night Raw. And then we see that somebody in the world actually bought a Sheamus 515 t-shirt. And I think, I can't believe that's a thing. Run away. Oh, I'm losing the war. The end is nigh, the end is nigh. Time to run away, the end is nigh. Woof is all I'm saying about that period of time in WWE history. And no, not because Sheamus 515 was in direct relation to some kind of big dog. It's because the world title picture, for the WWE title at least in that period of time, was absolutely dog rough. And hey, just sit down, put the pitchforks down, calm down everybody. Miz and Morrison wheeling out Goldberg, that was a pair of heels trying to get some heat on their very heely arses. And don't sit there and say it didn't work. You were pissed off, weren't you? You were expecting Goldberg, you saw Gillberg. While you might not care actually about the actual Goldberg not being there, it made you go, oh, for God's sake, what are these two arseholes doing? And that's the point. It was fine. And hey, Gillberg being back on WWE TV after his recent health scares, good on him. More power to Gillberg. It was good to see him looking so fit and so bloody healthy. But a question, if you're a kid watching this video here, and you're a kid who watched last night's Raw, did you know who Gillberg is? Answer down below, please, I'm interested. But then they went and wheeled whatever that thing is there, and all goodwill to my fellow man, it left my very mortal being. I've got no idea what I said, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. The Gillberg angle, it kind of made sense. Miz and Morrison being a pair of poo houses, of course they're going to promote Goldberg being on their big talk show called The Dirt Sheet, but Miz and Morrison being a pair of poo houses, not being able to afford Goldberg and getting Gillberg instead, that's fine, in my opinion. That there, in my opinion, that was just one step too far in a pair of professional wrestling heels trying to do some professional wrestling healing. Of course, WWE had to do something regarding Daddy Drew McIntyre and Goldberg on this week's Raw to keep the interest up ahead of their match at the Royal Rumble, and presumably WWE not being able to afford Goldberg for one too many weeks while Daddy Drew McIntyre continues his recovery at home. But there's got to be a better way than looking at that random man's arse crack. There's got to be a better way, WWE. And who knew that Riddle's ankle tape was magical healing tape? And of course, I get the concept of tape like that. It compresses the injury, it stops the swelling, it acts as a bit of a support. But the way that Riddle was bouncing around that ring, you would have thought he wasn't hurt at all. How, man, Riddle? I know it's crap, but at least sell the injury a little bit. Or maybe, man, maybe I was just too blazed off the weed that doesn't exist in my WWE universe, but I still portray the character anyway, and he couldn't feel the injury. I'm sorry for being so miserable. And then we have two-time WWE champion, former NXT champion, former Intercontinental champion, and former tag team champion, Daddy Drew McIntyre, saying, hey, everybody, look at my title defense record. I never miss. And I was thinking, never, ever, 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 ever. That's a song that happened about 25 million years ago. And of course, we're living in a world at the moment where we have supposedly noble babyface Charlotte Flair lying right through her face, right at us fans. And now we have Daddy Drew McIntyre, a role model, a person we've put all of our hopes and aspirations and dreams on the big meaty back of in the midst of this global pandemic, and now he's lying as well. You can't trust anybody these days, I'm telling you. And then we get to the main event segment of the night. And Alexa Bliss, she's taking on Asuka. She's dressed in a certain way, her hair is in a certain way. The lights go down, the lights come back up, and oh my God, she's got different lipstick on, her hair tied up in a different way. She's got a black t-shirt on instead of a different colour t-shirt. Ooh! And this change of wardrobe that happens somehow mystically, that has made Alexa Bliss indestructible. She's no-selling all kinds of moves. She can hold Asuka in a Sister Abigail position for like 25 million seconds, and Asuka doesn't even try to move. I guess Asuka has has given up on Raw like the rest of us. This was apparently Alexa's version of the Fiend. I think that's what we were meant to take from this. When you see the black lipstick, you see the different hair, you see the black t-shirt, you better run away and hide. Because after the match, after Alexa Bliss had defeated Asuka, the lights went down once again, they came back up, and she was dressed the other way she was when she initially walked down to the ring. And on top of that, of course, she says, "Let me in, the ace of spades." Just like Lemmy. That was a good impression of Lemmy, but you know what I'm trying to say. It was nonsense. And I tell you what, as I said earlier in this video here today, I love my silly bollocks in the professional wrestling, but all of this magical, mystical, spooky stuff in the wrestling at the moment, it's just too goofy. It's a shade too goofy. We had it right back in the day with The Undertaker and stuff like that. Hey, The Fiend had it right until The Fiend jumped the shark, but now it's too much, it's too goofy. Can we make things, pull the reins in a little bit? It's just embarrassing to watch, isn't it? I don't want to say this. I don't like coming on here and crapping on Raw. I don't like crapping on SmackDown. But SmackDown gives you very few reasons to crap on it here in 2021, here in January of 2021. Raw, from start to finish, with a little breather, which is Ricochet versus AJ Styles, it gave you a reason, in every single segment to crap on the show. And it's not nice to do, but you have to do it. You have to call a spade in this job. And Raw is a very horrible spade at the moment. A very silly, far-fetched, horrible spade that just makes you a bit embarrassed to be a fan of professional wrestling. You're sitting down with your pals thinking, hey, put the wrestling on. Let's show you why my job isn't so bad. And then you see that stuff with Alexa Bliss, and it makes you feel weird and a bit ashamed. And it's sad. But there we go. That's what we're doing at the minute. I've been Ross from Cultaholic Wrestling. Let me know what you thought about last night's Raw. I thought it was the latest in a long line of horrible episodes of Monday Night Raw. I don't know if the answer is as simple as 2 hours of SmackDown, 2 hours of NXT, 3 hours of Raw, and whether 2 hours is the answer. But there's got to be something changed about Monday Night Raw. How can NXT and SmackDown be so good, and this version, this era of Monday Night Raw, be so terrible consistently? Something's got to change. If you know what it is, let me know. I'm going to go for a lie down now and forget about last night's Raw, apart from the finish to AJ Styles versus Trevor Ricochet. Liquid wrestling, fantastic stuff. All the best to you.